Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Dan the Fix-It Man. Got another quick video here for you. I'm going to show you how to change your spark plugs in a 2005 Toyota Corolla. This will be the same as a Matrix and a Pontiac Vibe as well. I'm going to use the NGK Iridium. There's your part number. This is the 16 valve VVT-I 1ZZFE. First thing we need to do is just pull off this top engine cover, and that is just a 10mm socket. This came out actually with the valve cover gasket bolt. That's not uncommon. A lot of times these get torqued down on there, but normally it's just the little nut would come off, but in this case it took off the entire stud, and that's okay. We'll just set that aside for now. Next we can loosen and remove these bolts that hold down the ignition coils. Then we can disconnect each of the ignition coils. There's just a little plastic tab. These work pretty well. You just press in and wiggle that, pull it off. Now there's also this little plastic wire loom here on the back is kind of in the way of holding down some of these coils, so we're going to remove that too. There's just two little nuts here that hold that on. And then we should be able to pull that out of the way. And then let's take out our ignition coils. I like to keep these in the same order. Now it's a good idea before you pull the spark plugs out to grab some compressed air and just blow out these cylinders and blow out this entire area. Just to make sure we don't have any debris falling in those cylinders. And then you'll need a 5/8 spark plug socket. It's got a little rubber bushing in there that grabs onto each spark plug. I'm going to show you each plug as I go through here. There's this one here. There's number 3. There's number 4 right there. So they're all pretty worn down. Here's the instructions. It's saying to thread this in by hand until it's fully seated, and then we're going to turn it between 1/2 and 2/3 of a turn. We are going to put some anti-seize on here, but it's telling you right here, the warning, not to try to gap this. You will damage the electrode, and not to use it in any aircraft. These come pre-gapped for the car. Gap is 43 thousandths or 1.1 millimeters. I'll just get these opened up here and take a look. It's a good idea to take a look at each plug, make sure it's not cracked or damaged, and make sure that these have not been smashed down. You can see they look to be correct. That looks about 43 thousandths to me. Just a quick note on the gap here, in all seriousness. It's supposed to be 43 thousandths. Now what you don't want to do is run this tool inside there. You will probably end up damaging that, especially if you pry on it or move it around. You can check the gap with just a standard feeler gauge. I've got this little feeler gauge. It's also got these little feeler gauge wires. This one is 40.40 or 1.02 millimeter. And you can see that it does fit in there without touching. So I know that I'm really close. I know, these aren't way off. I'm sure it'll be fine. Here's another one right here. This is another type of gap tool, and this is at 44 thousandths. And that just barely does not go in. Again, I'm not pushing on that or forcing that because I don't want to damage that electrode, but just to kind of show you, do not use this. And if you've got a feeler gauge, you want to check it, or a micrometer would work as well. Well, there's a pretty decent comparison between old and new. You can see here, these old ones, these are about 80 thousandths. The gap is huge on these. Let's check another one. Yeah, same. 80 thousandths fits through there, so we know that these are completely worn down, just way out of spec, and time to get them changed out. Just out of curiosity, I was just wondering how far worn down those were. I've just taped my extension with some duct tape to this spark plug socket because the rubber grommet in there is kind of tight. Kind of doesn't want to let go of the spark plug sometimes when you put it in here. You may need to fish out that spark plug socket with some needle nose pliers if that does happen to you. Just get that snug by hand first, and then we need to do between 1/2, which would be all the way around, and 2/3, which would be all the way around plus a little bit more. So just make sure that that's lined up right there, and we'll go ahead and turn it all the way around, and I'm just going to do right about there. Get that going by hand first. just until it seats. And then we'll get our ratchet back on here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and do that. Half turn and just a little bit, right about there. Now we can put our ignition coils back on. Sometimes I'll just put a little bit of this dielectric grease in the end of each one of these. Now, when I do, that's a little excessive there, but just kind of put in a little bit and squeeze it like that. That will help keep moisture from getting inside and causing a misfire. Same with this one here, just a little bit of that dielectric. You can also just put a little bit of this on the end of the plug, but I like to just kind of put it on there, squeeze it around, and then just drop it in. This is what this stuff is. It's this dielectric grease. This is kind of a nice little container. You can turn it and then that deactivates it so it doesn't make a mess. It's like an aerosol. It's under pressure. And then we'll just drop that down. Alright, now we can put these guys back in. Same thing, just get these all started by hand. I've got this drill set with, it's got a clutch, and so I've got it set at a fairly low setting just to get those snug down. Put these little nuts on here as well. Kind of holds the wires in place. Same thing on the torque setting here. I've got it pretty low just to get those snug down. A lot of times, you know, I'll go back, just kind of do it by feel and make sure that those are snug. They actually that feels about right where I had it. Don't know what right is, it just feels right. And then just reconnect all of the ignition coil wires right here. Just those snap into place, fairly simple. And then our cover here. Remember, I've got this bolt right here. I could try taking that out, but I'm just going to carefully line that back up. There we go. This one doesn't seem to have any clips in the back. Maybe it did at one point, but they're broken off and gone, so there's nothing holding the back of this one on. And you're done. Pretty quick and easy job. Go ahead and start it up. Make sure you don't have any misfires or any issues like that. As you can see, those old plugs do wear down, and this is something that you will need to do from time to time to keep your engine running smooth. Hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you don't mind. That does help me out. And go ahead and hit the notification button as well. That'll give you a heads up whenever I post a new video. I'll put a link in the description to the spark plugs and some of the tools and materials used in this video as well. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck.